There's only big E in this video proof, as Analytic Dreams video on Spotify will give you the video along with the audio. And best believe me, Elden Ring has been going through a time, because not only is it one of the greatest games you will probably ever play as a hardcore gamer, and the reason I say hardcore, because not to scare anybody off, but it will probably take a good amount of research to get to a certain level as far as enjoying the game. I would not advise you to go into this game blind unless you want to have unnecessary struggles for a long time. Let's just say a long time. I would definitely look up guides to shorten your learning experience and your learning gap. So, with that being said, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree has sold 5 million copies in just 3 days. If you go to Xbox, as far as the top games on Xbox, obviously you see Elden Ring at number 1, at number 3. No, at number 1, at number 3, and at number 4. And you're probably wondering, how does one game take up 3 spots in the top 5 bestsellers on Xbox? Well, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Premium Bundle, which is just the DLC alone, is number 1. Elden Ring, which is the actual base game, so if you buy that, you only get the base game, you don't get the DLC. That's at number 3 as far as the third best-selling game on the Xbox platform. And then you have the Elden Ring base edition and the Shadow of the Erdtree game at number 3. So as far as getting the DLC alone, like getting Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Premium Bundle alone, that's at number 1. The base game is at number 3. And then the base game and DLC combined is at number 4 as far as the best sellers on the Xbox platform. And then let's go over the PlayStation, right? People say they don't play no games 24/7, but guess what? You're right, because it's at number 3 instead of number 1. So as far as the hardcore gamers, I would guess that there's more hardcore gamers on Xbox than PlayStation, which is nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? If you want to play your Fortnite and 2K, which is above Elden Ring in regards to PlayStation community, then that's okay. Me, myself, and I enjoy some 2K. So I don't blame you, you know. But Elden Ring just coming out as far as the DLC and having a resurgence, and why is one of the best games of all time. Should lend itself to be at number 1, I think, as far as top 10 games, top bestseller on the PlayStation platform. But it's okay, because it's only at number 3. So it's still in the top 3, which is not too bad. But then we come over to PC, and of course, I don't know what it is about Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2, but they are not falling off anytime soon. Even the 24-hour peak for Elden Ring is not even close to Dota 2 and Counter-Strike 2. But to be fair, Elden Ring is the third most popular game on the PC platform, so I do give them a pass, because technically with PC, it's nothing but hardcore gamers. I mean, just look at Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2 and gameplay, and you will realize why I say that. So anyways, those are the respective platforms and where Elden Ring sits as far as the sales perspective. And of course, overall, Elden Ring of Shadow of the Erdtree, and this is a stat as of June 30th, so it's probably even more now, but Elden Ring sold 5 million copies in just 3 days. So with that being said, the Elden Ring shipments and digital sales topped around 25 million, and that was a big deal simply for the fact that From Software, which is the parent company of Kadokawa, I think that's how you say it, in a new report said that there were 13.4 million sales total as of March. Okay, hold up. All right, so this is back in 2022. So this is back when Elden Ring was kind of falling off, so we kind of got a track record of what From Software's game plan was to capitalize off of the success of the base game. So basically, Elden Ring, the base game back in 2022, helped the overall From Software sales to 13.4 million total as of March 31st, 2022. And then they said that they're considering measures to ensure players keep buying and playing the game in regards to Elden Ring. And they said that Elden Ring's a hit beyond expectations, and they projected only 4 million sales by this period. Safe to say, Elden Ring surpassed that tremendously. I mean, 13.4, if you only projected to hit 4 million, I mean, at that point, you probably are like, let's keep making content in this particular game. And the overall profits, as far as projections, was plus 89%. So that was the amount that they was off as far as like how much money Elden Ring brought in. So what else? So yeah, the main focus was to continue the support of Elden Ring. And now, to bring it full circle, that's why we have Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Because you just knew they was going to put out DLC. I mean, they put out Armored Core last year. Hardly anybody played it. I'm not going to say nobody played it because that's a little disrespectful. But as far as Elden Ring, you could say that hardly anybody played it. But to be fair, the quality level was still at a high regard. So that is why the whole From Software formula seems to be quality over quantity. And even the director of the game, I can't say that. Miyazaki, let's just say his last name. The director of the game, Miyazaki, came out and said, quote, "It's true that sales were higher than those of our previous games, but I have no idea what the reason was." So even if I wanted to reproduce that success, I wouldn't be able to. So if that's not telling the God honest truth, I don't know what is. Because boy, the Elden Ring come out of nowhere. Because if anybody tells you that Dark Souls was popular before Elden Ring, they're lying to your face. Dark Souls was always a niche subgenre of gaming, but Elden Ring was like the Fortnite of its respective genre. It brought it to a whole nother level as far as exposure. So even though Dark Souls could have been great, Elden Ring came out and marketing wise, it was phenomenal. So anyways, one of the biggest reasons for that is the marketing campaign. You know, I'm all about marketing and getting to Elden Ring as far as like what in the world happens behind the scenes to lend it to so many eyes and to so many people being captivated by the game. And basically, Elden Ring, well, no, the Dark Souls formula back in the 2010s era of video game marketing had a more negative connotation when it said prepare to die. And that is why I think the overall renovation of the public perception of a Dark Souls game is great for the sales. Because if you don't know, people people are really destructive towards gamers and very verbally, I'm not gonna say abusive, because I don't know, my personal sentiments about online abuse is different, but people verbal vitriol towards gamers who use summons or use mechanics in the game to make it easier is very gatekeepy and tone deaf. If you want people to play the game, why in the world are you critiquing how they play it? Let me tell y'all right now, if you pay $70 for a video game, shouldn't nobody unless they're giving constructive criticism, because that's different, but there's nobody that should be able to tell you how to play your game if you paid the money for it, right? So unless it's constructive criticism, I would just care less what they have to say, whether you're Mickey or not. People see my Elden Ring run, and I'm using Comic Azure, I'm using the Moonveil, I got a shield, I got all type of stuff at my disposal. And if I really get annoyed by a boss, I'm bringing out the Mimic tier. I don't care. It's by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? So, and also I am going to be playing Elden Ring and putting out more gameplay. That was just an announcement that I wanted to save for the Elden Ring segment, because I remember a good amount of people have asked. I was like, dang, y'all really? I mean, I saw this analytics and y'all really did watch my gameplay walkthroughs, but it's just nice to be like, dang, they really want to see me play more games. So yeah, just Elden Ring gameplay coming soon. Just know that. So you'll see me get to Mickey it up even more. Don't let me find like a Mickey helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like a Disney-fied helmet, Elden Ring. I'm wearing it because I could care less. So, anyways, yeah, there's a whole discussion about that, because basically they said that the people who are using the tools in the game are getting clowned because it's a Mickey run and things of that nature, when in all actuality, the summoning mechanic of Souls like games is what the game was based around, because it's supposed to be hard. So you ask for help. And it wasn't until Namco's US marketing team decided to market the Dark Souls under the prepare to die catchphrase that it became associated with. And of course it was other things that said he expounded upon that a little bit more, because Miyazaki went a little bit into it. Okay, so he's talking about his real life experiences and how mutual assistance in the face of adversity is something that should not be clowned or mimicked or mocked, because it's something of overcoming adversity being the main thing that keeps you going throughout the game. And Miyazaki gave a real life story on the mimic, not even the mimic here, but just the summoning, basically. And this is the director of the game, so this is like the creator of one of the greatest games of all time speaking how this came about. So anyways, he said the origin, and this is quote, so the origin of that idea is actually due to a personal experience where a car suddenly stopped on a hillside after some heavy snow and started to slip. The car following me also got stuck, and then the one behind it spontaneously bumped into it and started pushing it up the hill. That's it. That's how everyone can get home. Then it was my turn, and everyone started pushing my car up the hill, and I managed to get home safely. But I couldn't stop the car to say thanks to the people who gave me a shove. I'd have just got stuck again if I'd stopped. On the way back home, I wondered whether the last person in line had made it home, and thought that I would probably never meet the people who had helped me. I thought that maybe if we met in another place, we'd become friends, or maybe we'd just fight. You could probably call it a connection and a mutual. You could probably call it a connection of mutual assistance between transient. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hold up. Transient. Give me 1 second. We about to use transient. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. Let's see if this tells me how to say it. It is not. That's great. That is fantastic. Let's just type it in. Let me see. Because I don't know why. I just really want to know how to say this. Definition. All right, let's see how this is pronounced.
Transient.
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 All right, that still ain't helped me. Anyways, mutual assistance between transient people. Oddly, that incident will probably linger in my heart for a long time, simply because it's fleeting. I think it stays with you a lot longer, like the cherry blossoms we Japanese love so much. So there you have it, the basis of the summoning mechanic. And then, of course, Gene Park, one of the more veteran journalists in the gaming industry, said the whole prepare to die was a byproduct of the edgy 2010s era of video games marketing. Basically saying he's glad that Elden Ring's vibe was much different, and he'd argue that is what contributed to the game's overall success, and it felt more uplifting and heroic than defeatist, asking us to rise to the occasion. So that being said, that's the sales overview of Elden Ring. Hopefully, I cleared that up for the people out there wondering if it's Mickey to use the mechanics literally put into the game. So you know what I mean. If you pay for the game, hey man, play it how you want to. But I would say that I would look up some guides. You don't want to. Hey, this game is hard. So, anyways, let's finally get into the DLC. So, Shadow of the Erdtree is the new expansion for Elden Ring. Shadow of the Erdtree, of course. Overwhelmingly positive reviews. I mean, it's one of the best games of all time. So, no surprise that this marks one of the highest rated DLCs of all time. So, DLC had a Metacritic score of 95 out of 100, matching the highest praise of the base game. It surpassed the previous top-rated DLC, The Witcher, Blood and Wine, which had a score of 92 out of 100. Just to be petty. I gotta know, because I mean, I don't know if it was broken when it first came out, because that's the only reason I could assume it wasn't. I just gotta look it up. Let me see, because this is one of my favorite DLCs of all time. So I looked up Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, and it's an 89. That's alright. That's okay. I had to look it up because honestly, that's the best DLC I've ever played. Even Mass Effect, I would say Cyberpunk's. Oh no, let me chill. Because the Shadow Broker DLC, that's up there. That's up there. I don't know. I have to think about it a little bit more. Now, Mass Effect is still number one. See, I almost had my podcast title taken away from me. Nah, Mass Effect's still number one. Let me chill out. So, anyways, as far as Metacritic, that's the highest rating they've given a DLC since The Witcher 3: Blood and Wine. So, anyways, difficulty adjustments, because everybody and the mom complains about a hard game being hard. So, so the patch was released to address player complaints and difficulty, enhancing the Scadutree. Oh, the Scadutree. I don't know why I messed that up. Blessings to make the game more accessible, and also improvements included increased attack and damage negation, especially for early stages of enhancement. Because, like I said, I'm planning on having multiple Elden Ring gameplay sessions. I may stream it, I may not. If I do stream it, it'll probably be under a whole different channel, because apparently it messes up your algorithm if you stream it on your main channel. So, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. So anyways, I may stream it, and if I do, one of the main tips I kept hearing was you have to get the Scadutree fragments, but I still have to beat the base game, which technically I've already did all the hard stuff. Like I did my DLC, not DLC, I did my side content to get the ending that I was wanting, and now I'm just running through the main game, just running through bosses. So I think I may finish the main game first, fight Millennia. Yeah, I still haven't fought Millennia. So that should be interesting. But my dude's pretty OP. But okay, yeah, that gets me back into the DLC. So apparently they just straight hating on my build in this DLC. I don't know what it is, but I think ultimately the developers saw the effectiveness of my build, and they was like, you know what? We came to bargain type builds is over. No more magic will be tolerated. And they nerfed it to you know what. Because apparently the Moonveil got nerfed. Apparently every boss in the DLC is run you down like the Adrian Peterson. Like they ain't trying to let you get no type of, or create no type of space. The strings never end. So don't think you finna get a magic spell off at any point. So if that's the case, guess what? I'm changing to straight hands, because there's always something in a game to exploit. And best believe, I will find it. So if they nerf my spells that I spend a pretty significant portion of time, getting all them spells. But it's cool. I understand. I just put time into making another build. But if I have to do that, just know I'm finding a even more OP build. If and it seems to be true. I don't really see nobody using any magic. They said if you use magic, you have to have like a mimic tier to distract the enemy while you use it, because the DLC bosses are way more aggressive. The attack patterns are way more continuous. Basically, it's harder than a base game. I'm not trying to scare any newcomers. I'm just letting you know what it is. So, anyways, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent, but so yeah, there was a patch to address player complaints. They enhanced the Scadutree Blessings to make the game more accessible. Improvements include increased attack and damage negation, especially for early stages of enhancement. As far as the gameplay experience, a lot of players got has to explore and collect scatter-free fragments and to increase the power within the DLC. So that's going to be the main thing when I get into the DLC, because obviously first I got to beat the base game. So once I get into the DLC, then I'm going to focus on getting scatter-tree fragments and just explore from that. Because usually I have a pretty... you'll see when I put my gameplay walkthrough out. Once again, Analytic Dreams video on Spotify to see the video along with the audio, because you'll be able to see my gameplay walkthroughs on there. But anyways, as far as me playing the game, I have a pretty set way that I want to explore, and then from that, that's when I'll start to venture out and then do random stuff. But I usually have a set thing I try to accomplish. So scatter tree fragments is just going to be the main thing in the DLC. And if I find a scatter tree fragment and then maybe I run into a cave, guess what? I'm finna explore that cave. That's usually how I explore open world games. So anyways, the game's map and mini dungeons are packed with secrets requiring players to utilize the map's detailed information for successful navigation. Another thing, I'm filled with Elden Ring tips, because guess what? I actually enjoy the game. So when you actually enjoy a game, it's easier to talk about it. So the writings that players put into the game, some people think is just for show. But if you start writing messages and put it throughout the environment where it's helpful, people who appraise that message, whenever they appraise it, will give you health while you're playing the game. So if you put down a message like, hey, look out for this chest, hey, turn right and you will see an unlock area, right? If they appraise that message, you would get healed instantly. So that means if you're, let's just say time goes on and you're fighting a boss, right? And while you're fighting that boss in another gameplay, somebody else found your message and they was like, oh, this was helpful, let me appraise it. You, during that boss fight, will just instantly get healed. So imagine if you're about to get killed and somebody appraised your message and now you're full health bar and you get to live and you end up defeating that boss. And so it's just very helpful, like throughout the game, to leave helpful tips throughout the game. So it's not just a gimmick; it's actually something that rewards you if you want to put messages to help people explore. So yeah, character and story. So basically, the story is about Miquella, a new central character using manipulative positivity to lure and control others. And the story explores themes of false hope and toxic positivity, making Miquella a unique and compelling villain. Now, as far as the drama, because everybody and their mom loves drama. So some of the other drama that happened with this game is the fact that there were initial mixed reviews on Steam because of players not being able to adjust to the DLC's difficulty curve. Because from what I keep hearing, there's a real uptick in difficulty going from the base game to the DLC. Like I keep saying, the bosses are way more aggressive. The fight patterns are way more continuous. They do not let you breathe like they used to in the base game. So as far as Millennia, every boss is like that as far as the aggressiveness that they try to come at you. So that's why I keep saying, like, the whole, they want to nerf my magic build. That's all right. mess around and find something even more OP. Like I heard the perfume bottles are even worse than the magic. And so I'm like, how y'all ain't nerfed that? You know what I'm saying? Went from casting spells like the off-brand Doctor Strange to acting like a JC Penney worker, giving everybody random perfume squirts. Like what in the world? So, anyways, um, yeah, player reception. They was hating on the DLC difficulty, and of course they patched it, making it easier because I don't know, From Software I guess just felt, they felt pity. So another thing that was way more important than that critique, performance issues. Apparently, I don't know if it's because it was rushed. I won't necessarily say it was all the way rushed because they did technically wait a whole year. But if you're a gaming developer, you probably already know that 1 year, is not as long as some people may think as far as the amount of time to develop this type of game. So, anyways, there's a lot of performance issues, especially in the FPS drops during the final boss fight, and it has been noted but not significantly impacted overall ratings. So the biggest thing with that is if you download a DLC, because right now I still have the base game. I'm not downloading the DLC till I beat the base game. But if you download a DLC, it may mess with the frame rate a bit simply due to the optimization not being as optimized as the base game. Hopefully that makes sense. So, anyways, let's get into tips. So, tips for players who's newly getting into this game is definitely make sure your flasks are fully upgradable before entering the DLC. You will lose a lot of health, and while that health bar may look like you're a boss in itself, 1 to 2 hits makes that health bar disappear. So make sure to ensure that flasks are fully upgraded before entering the DLC. Prioritize finding and upgrading Scadutree Blessings. Pay attention to the map details in many dungeons for valuable resources, and prepare for a challenging experience akin to the base game's difficulty. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but if y'all go into this game thinking you finna just dog walk every single DLC boss because you level 180 or 200, they don't care what level you are, which I think the recommend is like between 120 and 150. But anyways, for people who's like level 180, they're like, I ain't gotta do nothing. I can just run through every single DLC boss. The Scadutree fragments is set in the DLC to make it even for the bosses. So that way you're on an even playing field. So you're in a whole new leveling system in the DLC. That's why I say Scadutree fragments, because that's where you level up in the DLC. In the base game, you may be OP to every single enemy. In the DLC, you need Scadutree fragments, or they're still gonna run through you like tissue. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why tissue just popped in my head, but hey, that's easily ran through, right? Anyways, so with that being said, the overall scores is 90 plus. Everybody's saying that the Shadow of the Erdtree just perfectly accomplishes everything that it set out to do, and it makes the story of Elden Ring even more complete and revitalizes this addictive masterpiece. The expansion is lauded for its engaging content, rich story, and challenging gameplay, making it a must-play for fans of Elden Ring. So with that being said, click my link tree in my bio. Let me know on one of my social medias. What do you think about the overall perception of Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and how long do you think it will take for you to finally try out Elden Ring and brace yourself to hop into the difficult landscape that is Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree?